I've got three legends sitting at the table at fucking Real. Really excited to have you boys on board. You guys, ran an ultra marathon literally last weekend. At the table, I've got Graydon, I've got Jake, and I've got Steve. And before we go into the ultra marathon, the highs, the lows, what you've gone through mentally, physically, and all what you've done to prepare for this, I want to hear it all. But before we sort of get into all those questions, can someone please explain what an ultra marathon is?
Stevie.
So there's plenty of different formats of ultramarathon. Essentially, an ultramarathon is anything over 50 kilometres. The format that we were doing is called a backyard ultramarathon, and that basically involves running a 6.7 kilometre loop every hour on the hour, and provided you complete that loop within the hour allocated and you're at the start line at the start of that next hour, you're in the race. So essentially you can either time out when you don't complete a loop in time, or you can tap out when you feel like you're done and you're physically or mentally out of the race. So it's an awesome format of ultramarathon because it really does push your mind to that limit where it's you versus you, and you can tap out whenever you want. So it's just purely, it's a mental battle.
Yeah, I can imagine that, man.
Right.
Yeah. Especially when you can quit.
Exactly.
You can fucking quit, and you'd be telling yourself that a lot.
Oh, you have to
You want to
override
quit
that.
so many times on that journey, man.
Yeah.
But just quickly, I want to keep going on there, man, because that's life in itself, isn't it? You know what I mean?
100%.
Especially with mental health, man. I mean, but just quickly before we get into that, but how many K, how long did you actually run?
So I finished up 162 Ks or 100 miles.
162 Ks.
Yeah, in 24 hours was the total time.
Holy fuck, man.
Fucking impressive, eh?
What's that like? That's going to Mandurah and back fucking twice.
Yeah.
Man, when you put it in that perspective, I was sitting at home the other day and I was thinking of it. I was like, that's from my house to Joondalup and back. Because Jake and I did over 100 or 100. I did 102. You did 108.
Yeah, that's correct.
And running from mine in Rockingham to Joondalup and back, I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, in 24 hours.
We ran for 15 hours.
So mine was 16.
16.
Yep.
And then the boys were just 15 and a bit.
Yeah, I think it was 15 and a bit for me. Yeah. Yep.
Well done, lads. Well done.
Especially if you really look in hindsight. So the body, I tracked on my MyZone tracker and it was 12,076 calories. If you look at an average person that's not doing a decent whack in the gym, it's 500 calories, and that's a bit of strength and conditioning, a hypertrophy workout, 250 to 300 calories. So that's 500 times 5 training sessions, 5 days is 2,500 calories. So that's almost a month's of training and more in one setting.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So that's wild. If you really think the duress and stress you're putting your body on in those situations, especially like as Steve was saying, you just think, you just rock up and you run around in circles. There's so much preparation and planning that goes involved when you want to put your body under that much stress. And we'll talk about some of the stresses that we all experience later.
Yeah.
But it is freaking wild, man.
Yeah, because that's what I wanted to get the feel of before we start going into these stresses and things you put your mind and your body through. Is just, what the fuck did you do? I mean, I knew you'd done an ultra marathon, but I'm sitting here going,
We don't even know,
what?
man. We don't even know.
People are like, what the fuck?
The question was like, what did you do? And then it's like, why the fuck did you do it? Yeah.
Still asking ourselves.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, cool, man. So, well, first of all, man, congratulations, boys. I mean, that's an achievement in itself, hey. And I guess the why was from what I've picked up, you're raising money for Men's Talk, and mental health, men's mental health.
Yep.
So fucking great. I mean, that's awesome, man. It gives me goosebumps just even knowing that you boys put yourselves through that for that particular cause, man. It's wicked.
Yeah, cheers, bro.
How are you guys dealing with the praise of it all?
Grado, take it away,
Yeah,
mate.
go
on, Grado.
Start with the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
I mean, look, you're kind of referring to after.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I don't know, man. Just in general, like, I mean, there's the old saying of like smelling the roses, man. Well, you know, stopping to actually take in what you've done.
Well, I think along the journey of the run, you don't want to stop and smell the roses, especially if you're running behind Jake.
You mean Steve? He actually took out 10 blokes. Me and Grado was like running out in front, and Steve done let this one rip. Fair enough, and it took out 10 people. Steve was like, "I'm sorry if there's any girls behind us."
there was one chick who was so offended. She was like, "What the fuck?"
There was plenty of people getting peppered on that. It was actually fun.
Funny that with ultra running or running in general, long duration at a time, your bowels and everything get so shaken up. Everyone's dropping bombs.
Yeah.
Towards the end, it's just
bombs and farts, or
well,
like
Jake can tell his half of the story when we get there.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you know, that's why we steer clear of some of the roses along the journey because Jake might have been there. But yeah, look, for me, leading up to the ultra, I suppose maybe we just do a bit of a quick timeline, skim through. But for me, I lacked belief massively. So obviously I took the approach of not training for the run to simulate mental health and how people, mental health battles can be sprung on men with no preparation to sit and navigate through it. In saying that, I do want to make this clear because a lot of people have brought this up. I was still fit. I still go to the gym every day. I hit the Stepmaster. I eat really well. But running fit for an ultra is different. You've got the cardiovascular side, but it's just that constant impact on the body that your muscles, your feet, your legs, everything needs to get used to that.
Yeah.
So going in with a disadvantage there, I struggle with belief. And I've spoken, having these two guys and Liam who ran with us as well in my corner, got me through it. And I'd ring Steve often saying, I don't fucking know if I don't know, I can't do it. And he'd back me up, same as Jake and Liam. And it was, that for me was a huge battle. And, being talking on the podcast with you about it and on the news and social media and stuff, it just added more weight on the shoulders. So leading up to it, that was really hard for me, probably a week before it hit me, like a fucking train. But I just listened to about 20 hours worth of David Goggins, to be honest with you.
As you do.
So
Who's going to carry the boat in the line?
Most people like these guys, you do your, what do they call it, tape a week and all that kind of nutrition stuff. And I'm just fucking pumping David Goggins.
Yeah.
Like I'm just, every single night I'm sending these boys photos. I've just got them on the screen. Like I'm just pumping David Goggins because he fires me the fuck up.
Who else do you go to, though? If it's not Dave Goggins,
It's something that
Dave Goggins.
if you want to go in unprepared, you got to listen to David Goggins.
Yeah.
And it worked. It worked, man. Like my marathon I did 2 years ago, I listened to his book while I was running, and it really helped. So I just resonate a lot with David.
Yeah.
And excuse me. So for me, I finally, the day come, nerves don't hit me until I'm at the start line usually, and they hit me quite hard. And started running, and about 7 Ks in, my knee started hurting. And I was like, fuck. The belief,
What was that, about halfway? No, just under.
Just like
First lap.
First lap.
30
Oh,
minutes
seven-
in.
Oh, right.
30
7
minutes
Ks,
in.
yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah, lucky for me, I turned to Liam and I'm like, and I could hear him kind of grunted. And
Groaning,
I'm
yeah.
like, are you in pain? He's like, yeah. I was like, fuck. Oh, thank fuck. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, my knee's fucking hurting, man. We're not even 7 Ks in. But, along the journey though, the pain becomes normal. If you don't let it win, your body just copes with it, and then you don't feel it's there, but it's not there. If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So it was about a 6 or 7 out of 10 my knee, and I probably ran for 80 kilometers with that at that pain threshold. But it become normal. Same as Liam. I know Liam can prove vouch for that.
So was the pain, like when it first happened, did it stay that sort of pain fresh, like the whole way along, like the 7 out of 10, or was it?
And I think the other events I've done, I know what helps it. So like Voltaren and Immu Gel, certain strapping, that kind of stuff. I wasted 3 gaps between each lap where you only got a short period of time, like 5-10 minutes. I wasted them strapping my knee, and it kept slipping off because of the deep heat, the sweat, all that.
Yep.
So I lost 3 sessions there where I could have recovered. But I kept being quite consistent with the Voltaren and Immu Gel and the nutrition and all that. And that helped maintain that threshold of pain.
Yep.
But for me, like trying to speed it up, because we can talk for hours about this, along the journey I got to about the 70 kilometre mark, and I'd want to quit probably contemplated quitting, I reckon, about maybe 300 times before that.
Yeah.
It just comes and goes and comes and goes, and then you start, and these guys will vouch for this, you start thinking about excuses. Everything under the fucking sun comes in. Oh, yeah, but I could just blame my knee.
What were some of those excuses, man?
Oh, the obvious one was the knee.
Yeah.
I say, man, I can call it. These boys would be sweet. But you guys would have called me pussies. I would have been stoked about it. Because you need people that call you out on that shit, though. You do, man. Because so many people are like, oh, it's okay. You've done good. Nah. Like, you need to be called out. There's a certain kind of, threshold on that. But I had that, then you've got like, oh, I just don't think I can do it. I'll just call it. I've given it a good crack, that kind of. But it's all fucking bullshit. You haven't, once you've really given it a good crack, and even now, I reckon I mentally had more. I just don't think my knee could have gone much further. And seeing, Steve do 160, it's like, that's mentally giving it shit. Like, that's not having any fucking excuses. But that's what it's about, though. That's why we did it. We didn't. My mindset is I didn't go all the way out there, and this came in my mind a lot when I was running. I didn't go all the way out there, like, raising money for men's mental health, doing the social media posts, all that kind of stuff, to just quit with a fucking knee pain. Yeah. Like, it wasn't something that was an option. So that always come through. But at the 80K mark, I sent a voice note through to my mate that he lost his dad to suicide. And I was just crying, man. It was just a fucking powerful voice note. Yeah. His dad come to me, he come to me during the run, and I just needed some fuel. Like, I needed something, and it come to me, and I was just like, all the emotions that he would have gone through, I started feeling. And I haven't lost my dad, but I started feeling his emotions, and I sent him a voice note. And I couldn't even tell you what was on it. I can't even remember, but fuck, that fired me up, man. Yeah. That fired me up.
So when you say you went in there with the intention of making it more like what someone would be going through with mental health, and I don't know, I'm assuming we've all, well, fuck it, we have. We've all been there, man. We've been in those dark places, and we can relate to it. And you can make it feel like a fucking ultramarathon. And it seems like it's going to be for fucking ever, man, And so what we've gone there with that sort of intention and that in mind, and and that's what you want to get out of it. Like, how did that work for you, man? Like, in terms of finding that strength and finding, and strength. Yeah,
man. I reckon at the 80K mark, I was like, I'm going to call it. I was like, I've given it a good hit. My times were starting to get fucking shocking, man. I was starting to only have a couple of minutes between laps to try and refill my bottles, and at that point, it's at night, so it's fucking cold. Pitch black. My dad and my sister supported us, but they'd gone to sleep for the night. So at that stage, you didn't have this a lot of help as well. And I remember just thinking, I was like, fuck it, I'll just call it 80. But I mean, I'm a stubborn motherfucker. We all know this.
Really?
We all know this.
Never noticed.
Oh, what? Who's that?
But that is where I'm beyond grateful for it. Because I said, no, I've fucking come in to run 100. I'm fucking running 100.
So how you going, mate? You've avoided the fucking question I've asked you.
Oh, I've 100% avoided it.
How are you dealing with the fucking praise of it, mate?
I'm not dealing with it, man.
Nah?
And that's something that needs to be mentioned. I struggle with validation, big time. It's a self-love. I don't think I deserve it. And, Jake and I have spoken about this a few times. Jake with his men's coaching has helped me through it. But there's a lot of work to be done. Like, I've been getting a lot of validation.
Yep.
Like you should run in a fucking ultramarathon.
Yep.
But I just, I've struggled to allow myself to accept it. And I think mainly because, for me, my why was so strong. Obviously, we all wanted to push our mental limits for ourselves, but also for men's mental health. And for me, I do struggle with that validation and accepting it. And I think that just comes with the self-love, a bit more growth for myself, and, being able to accept it. Because I have struggled with that. It's been a battle for me.
It's good that you're aware of it, man. I think that's the main thing. I think if you're aware of it, sometimes I feel that when we're aware of it, we want it to go away. We want it to suppress. But just being aware of it, sitting with him. Okay, cool. I'm not really feeling that validation. That's okay. It is.
I think just jumping on that, and this is for any of the listeners that are listening at home, when you're faced with trauma, or whether it be lacking self-love, there is generally like a reversal process, and there's a string line of events that's happened or occurred to you a lot in your life for you to make that mean. What happens is we go through our life, whether that be from relationship problems, childhood traumas, or drugs, alcohol. And what happens is we actually attach a meaning to this. And when we have an event happens in there, for example, you break up with a partner, I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy of love. Maybe you didn't receive the love from your parents that you needed. And sometimes we go through this vicious cycle, and it's not in what I always say, the past doesn't equal the future unless we live there. And if you're a person right now that's struggling moving forward, chances are that you need to go revisit the past because there's something that's holding you down there. And that's what you need to address. When I always tell people the inner work is not doing your ice baths and your saunas. Yes, it's beautiful and it's a great prevention measure. Inner work is done by revisiting your these memories.
And how do you go about that, bro? Like, I mean, I'm aware of it. I actually can share a story just yesterday, man, which is fucking moving, man. I mean, great, and you know what I went through yesterday. But you know, just for those who are listening, because it's so fucking important what you're talking about here, man.
So I guess there's so much different layers to like the inner work. You know, there's the child. Yeah, there's the inner child that didn't get the love that he needed, or there's a part of your psychology. It's like wearing a facade, and we wear all these layers that makes up our public identity. But I guess in short, man, where you really need to come to an acceptance with something that's happened in your past and allow it to go. So it's actually what the unconscious mind does is it suppresses emotions. So it's not until your unconscious mind, until you're ready, it will keep showing up and you'll call it. So
when it is starting to show up, you can feel it. You still don't know what it is at this stage, but you can feel, fuck, there's some uncomfortableness, like, and it will take great, like what he's going through at the moment with that. Like, what do you recommend when you're feeling like, fuck, man, I'm just not, like I'm feeling shit house. There's something that keeps coming up and I don't know what it is.
What I would say is, what's stopping you? Why do you feel that way? So if Graydon wants to answer that, he can.
Well, you know,
I don't know if this is the space for it. You know what I mean? But
well, we're talking about it, man.
You know, it is the space, and you know, as you're speaking, I'm sitting here thinking, I'm not being honest, and why am I not being honest? Because I'm scared.
Safety.
That's the payoff. It's the mechanism. You know, I'm holding back a bit here. So the fact I don't give myself that validation that I deserve, that we all deserve, I'd rather give you guys more validation, and like I've just constantly, you know, validate, because I think you've done an amazing job. So it was you. When I grew up in primary school, we're not going to go too far into beer forever, but I was bullied a lot.
See that though, like same thing that I was saying before, that timeline, bang, back in. Keep going, Graydon.
And I'm aware of it as well, and that's something that I don't talk about. But in primary school, I was bullied quite bad because I just wasn't good at anything. Didn't fit in, and you know, I tried sports. I was fucking uncoordinated, man. And that's just like I already am now. You see me try to kick a footy, it's fucking horrendous. But in school, boy, they're savage, man. They're savage. Yeah. And I just always was the outcast, never fitted in. And I think, you know, in high school, I grew taller. I've become the bully, and that's just how it unfolded. And I don't regret anything I've learnt from it all, but that's just how it did. But a lot of this not accepting validation goes back to the younger days, because I never got accepted. So I'm not accepting myself now.
Yep.
And I've dealt with a lot of childhood trauma, and like I spoke on the other podcast, trauma doesn't have to be, you know, rape and abuse and full-on intense stuff like that. It can be bullied in my childhood and stuff like that. And a lot of that's already come up through breath work and you know, the Amend movement. That's why I'm looking forward to that coming up next in a couple of weeks' time. But it does stem from the childhood, and I know it does stem from my primary school. And I never told anyone. And only recently, Mum was talking to a lady that was involved in the school when I was younger, and she mentioned, and Mum goes, "Oh, fuck, I didn't know that," to the extent that I was actually getting bullied. To the point, you know, I think year 5 or 6, recess, I grabbed my bag, I just fucked off home. It was like a probably 6 or 7 kilometre walk. And, you know, everyone was freaking out, and I just packed up and went home.
So just keeping it there. So he's worked out the validation.
Yeah.
He's gone back to a kid. He's worked out it was bullying. This is going good here, man, because this is what this podcast is about, is for those to try and dissect what the fuck's going on, man.
And what I just want to quickly add, sorry, Dave, is that everyone that's listening, this is very fucking uncomfortable. Yeah. And this is why we lean into this kind of uncomfortableness.
I appreciate you talking about it.
People need to know that, because it is fucking uncomfortable, but you guys are creating a comfortable environment, and this is what everyone listening needs to realise when it comes to men's mental health. This kind of shit's fucking uncomfortable. I don't want to do it.
It's got to be, man.
But we're doing it. Yeah.
100%. So what do you do at this stage, man? You've worked out.
So what there is like, and this is without going into different like techniques that people use, like timeline therapy and stuff like that. But then the foundation of this is being able to separate yourself from that emotion. So, okay, this is what happened. Take yourself outside of that and look at the situation for what it is. Sometimes we get so caught up in that emotion. This has made this, this frustration, anger, and we're always going to gravitate to it. So to disassociate yourself, you need to step back, right? And Graydon already said, this is the story that he's been telling himself, right? Unconsciously, is that I don't fit in, I was bullied, I'm uncoordinated, I'm this, I'm that. This is the story that he's capturing, and this is what his identity, his belief system resonating with. So you need to take yourself outside of that, and you got to ask yourself, two things. What is there to be learnt from this situation that's going to empower you? What can you teach yourself? What is there something to be learnt from this? And then also is addressing what Graydon needed back then. When he was a younger child in childhood, he has needs, whether that's, that he's not giving himself. So I always, when I take clients through this, is I'll separate them and I'll get them to visualize their younger self, that part of themselves, and I'll ask them, get them to gaze into that person's eyes about what does he need to be okay. Yeah. And I want you to give that to him, whether that's love, acceptance, kindness, and then I want you to bring him in and give that hug. And I want you to feel that. Because remember, it's the suppressed emotions that's allowing him not to move forward.
That fucking comes up. It comes up all the time, man, that little boy inside you. And I spoke about it just on the last podcast, and I'm sure I've spoken about it 100 times on there. When my real healing started to come into place or happen on this journey, this new journey of wanting to better myself and heal myself, it was on ayahuasca. And I just had this moment of myself which allows you, it breaks down the walls to allow you to get to that place.
Vulnerability.
And that's what psychedelics do, and this breath work and all those things. It just it breaks down those walls of, and allows you to engage better with that younger person, and a whole lot of other shit as well. But yeah, man, and then that's what I done. I actually found that little boy in myself.
Beautiful.
The ayahuasca just showed me of all the trauma and shit I went through, the abandonment and fucking the violence and drugs, alcohol, everything, man. And fucking even all the anxiety I had from my mum, where my mum was, man. I didn't even know I held on to that, and it just helped me realise it all. And then after all that broke away, man, it was just a matter of me. I actually grabbed that little boy. And then, because then I reflected on the man I am today. And then I grabbed that little boy and said, "You're coming with me, mate. We're fucking sweet. I got you." And from then, gives me goosebumps and brings tears to my eyes every time I do it, because it's fucking real, man. I guess that's where you got to get to. And I guess just on that note, man, what are some of the things that someone can do that's listening? So we've worked out that's what you got to do. What are some of the things that you guys have done in your guys' journey to allow you to heal, man?
Right. Straight up, breath work is key. Yeah. That just unlocks all that shit that you have buried down as low as you can bury it, and try to forget about, and it just brings it all straight back to the surface, and it helps you deal with it and process it in a safe environment, especially if you're doing for blokes, like the men's breathwork classes are just amazing, because it just gives you that safe place to be vulnerable, to share a bit of a story before or after. Yeah. And it's definitely one of the most powerful things I've done, along with other things. I've worked with Jake as a life coach, and that helped me heaps with leaning into a fear of judgment that I've always battled with. And just relating that back to the run, man, it was real powerful. At the end of the run, I sort of dropped to the ground and just broke down. I was just just completely broken, but in the most beautiful way. It was like I was in my most vulnerable state, but I was just so proud to embrace it. And I related that back to my fear of judgment and thought, holy fuck, allowing myself to be in that state around a group of people who I didn't know, just complete strangers, that run broke me down to that level that I was completely vulnerable, but yet proud, and just felt good to own it, man, and just drop and just, I think it's just another layer peeled back of that fear of judgment. And because I think all of us had that in us, it's to some degree, worrying about what other people think, if you're wearing the right clothes, if you're saying the right shit, all these sorts of things.
Yeah, fucking oath, man. I mean, And it's ongoing too, Steve. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, this healing, it's not just a one-stop shop.
Yeah, it's not. It's definitely not.
I mean, look, I've only really been on this journey about three years, but it's fucking hard to be spiritually like growing, man. I find that because you're going into fucking war, man.
You got to go to the deepest, darkest parts of yourself, and as men, we so struggle to speak up. But the most courageous thing a man can do is go inwards. Because I'm being strong by suppressing it, is what we think. When you could go in there, you go, oh my God, I got a fucking battle. That's a fucking war in there. You know what I mean? You gotta come to terms with your ego, the shadow side of yourself, which is like the good and the bad. You got to go with the childhood trauma where you don't want to go. You have to have, whether that's conversations with yourself, partners, ex-partners, your parents, all of that. That's truly where the work happens. And that's when you just like, oh bullshit, I'm actually fucking. There's so much layers.
Even though it's hard, and I can only speak for myself here, but even though it's hard, it's also good as well because you learn how to deal with things better. And because 100%. You're growing and you're strengthening, there's more tools in the bag, and so when they happen again, you're like, nah, I'm fucking ready for this. It's just more dealing.
And I think the beautiful thing is, man, that it doesn't matter how much work you do and how much you overcome. There's always something to work on, and it's just this ongoing, beautiful journey of growth and just peeling back layer after layer and just having, like you touched on before, that self-awareness, man, and actually just being able to go, right, I had that thought. Why did I have that thought? Like, what's going on there? Should I dig a bit deeper? And where did that come from? Yeah. And it's just a beautiful journey to be on, man.
I'm loving the journey, even having you boys here, man, and having these conversations. It's fucking, and and you're fucking lying to yourself if you're thinking you can't relate to what we're talking to. If there's someone out there that can't relate to it, man, I mean, you're a fucking another planet.
Maybe they're an alien.
Well, I want to and if you are that person, fucking get hold of me on the podcast.
Let's go. I want to hear about it too. I'm in.
I do want to touch on something that just go back to when you were mentioning how you finished that race. And, I was there. And I've got to, this is obviously validating you, Steve, but I've just never seen that before. And you know how you and I have spoken this week, and we're like, we can't fucking.
Are you talking about what he'd done, or like having that?
So how he finished it, that the tears and just the fucking energy, man. Like, and we've spoken a couple of times this week, Steve, and we've gone, we're not ready to talk. We're still processing what's going on, but I'm fucking ready to process it. And just seeing that, man, I fucking bawled my eyes out. I literally couldn't even hold back. I'm getting fucking emotional thinking about it, man. And it was just seeing, a strong masculine male like you, Steve, push yourself to the absolute fucking limit. Yeah. Like I said,
you should have just seen him walking out for the last 25.
Just a fucking
he was just zombie, I was just like, that is leaving it all the fuck out there. He's just like stumbling and look like a zombie. He's just like, oh, it was amazing. Keep going, go there. Sorry.
But no, that's literally it though. Like, for me on my run, if it wasn't for the knee, I would have loved to have pushed it more. I didn't reach my mental limit. I reached my physical limit. And that was lack of training. But seeing Steve actually reach that mental limit,
it's inspiring, in
front of everybody and fall to the ground crying of just achievement. Fuck, man. That's a fucking man. That's what you do, bro. You're so vulnerable and open to those emotions, and you embrace it. You push the limits, and and even when you come and sat back in the tent, and you laid back and you just cried, and I'm just standing there, man. I'm just like, fuck. Like, that's when you've just opened up a new level in your life. Yeah.
After doing something like that, man, how's your week been?
Beautiful, bro.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, the recovery's been good. I had a moment, touching on what you spoke about before in terms of has it set in, or how am I dealing with the praise and stuff like that. It wasn't until I had a call from my stepdad, I think it was 2 or 3 days after the run. I hadn't spoken to him. I'd sent him a few messages. And this is a man who, he is someone that I truly admire. He's, in terms of masculine figures, he's someone I've got the utmost respect for. Cool. And he's brought me up to be the man that I am today. And he called me.
That's wicked, man.
Yeah, and he just said, he goes, Steve, mate, he goes, what you did is fucking impressive. I'm so proud of you. And that was it. I just broke down then and there, and it was just like, I think that's when it clicked, like when it really clicked, to hear someone like that say that to me. And then he said a few other beautiful things, and he's like, fuck, you all right, man? I just said, oh, look, what you've just said to me is like, it's just overwhelming. It was just the most beautiful moment of realization. And then it was just like, fuck, that actually was a pretty good effort. Like, that was pretty special. And to hear those words come out of his mouth, man, it was just, I'll remember that till the day I die. Yeah. It was a beautiful moment.
That's beautiful,
man.
Bro. I feel that's where, mental health is those masculine fucking males, those role models, that are around, man. And I guess that's, when I think of this podcast and where this vision come from, it's about strengthening those males out there that are struggling, so they can be better fathers, man. I mean, that's the main thing, and better partners, and also just living better lives for themselves that are struggling. But if there's one of the top things that I'd love to see is just males being better dads, man, because fucking as it's passed down and when you become a father, you can pass down those experiences, and that's the ongoing, like, rather than me talking about like my mum and my, getting anxiety and stuff like that from, what do you call it, generational trauma. Yeah.
I think it's like, if you look at it, and I spoke to one of our mates, Liam, who did his did the Ultramarathon to us, is like, you got to look at like where your journey is involved with personal growth and everything else like that. When you develop yourself, you're breaking that link, because generational beliefs get passed down. How your mum and dad were gets passed down. How their mum and dads gets passed down. When you start doing the work, you start doing self-development, you start healing, you then break that chain in that cycle, and then you pass down a new way of being to your kids, and that's how you get people to grow, and that's how you break the cycle. If you don't do the work, if you don't do the work, you're passing down your shit to your kids. And when you do the work and you understand and do that, your healing starts, and then your child's healing starts, and then they become a better person. They become a better version of themselves, and so forth.
And and those who are listening, we've all, and I can speak this from being a father of 3, and these things that I look back at and think, what the fuck, but there's no better time to start than now.
Absolutely.
And there's an opportunity. Every fucking morning you wake up and put your 2 feet on the floor is another opportunity
said, 100%.
to be that man that you deserve and want to be.
It's for the people that you love as well. You and I have touched on it. It's like, that's the why, being the best version for the people that mean the most to you. And, like the situation you had, Steve, I had a similar situation with Dad, where it was just a simple text, but it was, I'm proud to be your father. Oh, fuck that. Yeah, that was...
Yeah, cool.
I can't even, something like that, simple little message. That's why I'm doing what I'm fucking doing, That's why I'm doing it. Because, maybe he was proud of me when I'm younger. Deep down, I don't think he was, just because of what I was choosing. But to get that, and to Dad just to go, fuck, I'm proud to be your father. That's what it's all about, man.
I think, like, there's something about that, man. Like, I mean, well, there is something about it. I mean, like, I had my son's basketball game this morning. He absolutely froths on it. He thinks he's fucking Michael Jordan. But he froths on it, man. Dad, like last night, Dad, it's early night tonight, but I've got to go to bed, at the same time as... You're probably not arguing, though. You're like, yeah, mate. Last night, mate, I was ready for bed. I was like, sweet as, mate. But, yeah, look, he absolutely froths on basketball. I mean, Ants is his uncle as well, and supports him with his basketball cards. So something else. Anyway, but like, we had basketball this morning, and every time he's doing something, I notice him always looking at me. I'm on the sideline, and he's looking for me. If he gets a shot in, like, where's Dad?
Yeah.
And yeah, mate. But
it means well to him, though.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely well to him.
I'm checking out all the mums. Oh, sorry. No, but I don't know. There's 2 things that go through my mind there, man. One is to give him the validation that he deserves. I mean, I sort of sit there and teach him just how to breathe, like see the game, and try to give him a different perspective on it, like just shoot hoops and, I try to, it's about being a team. But I also try to be quite humble for him as well, in the way of like, rather than go, yeah, mate, and give him a lot of praise, because I feel like he needs to notice that himself. You know what I mean? A good tool to go, fuck, I'm doing it. Well, he sees the things that he's achieving and
Self-validate.
Rather than just all from me. You know what I mean? I mean, it's hard as a dad to sort of balance that because you know you're so fucking proud of your
But
son.
being a son, you know, or a daughter, like for me, I've always looking up to dad. You know, everyone's got their flaws. Everyone does. We all have our own fucking flaws, but. You know, my dad's, his values, his integrity, stuff like that, I always just want to make him proud. It's something you just, I think every son has that. Whether or not you have a good relationship with your dad or not, you always just want to, but you just want to be the best version for him. And I think that's like, you know, like you said, your son looks, because he's not so much maybe looking for the validation, but he's just seen dad there, you know, he's like, Dad, I'm fucking playing basketball, like, check this out, you know, like, I think that is, that's where that generational trauma, you know, that's where if you can try and break that gap, support your son, be strong for your son, but break it so he doesn't have to take on a lot of your burdens. He's going to naturally take on a few anyway, because that's just life. But if you do the inner work, like Jake's saying, you don't pass on as much, you know, and then he doesn't pass on as much to his son, and it just gets better and better.
Yeah. And if you're a father out there listening to this, man, fucking, and you want to get to that place, because, man, it's hard, man. If you're dealing with your own fucking trauma from a kid and stuff like that, to be present as a father, even though you want to be a good father and you're not, but you're making a few bad decisions or whatever, you know, you got to reach out, man. Because deep down we all know fathers want to be good fucking fathers, man.
And just, like I think also it's important to mention that we as human beings, we are all beautiful and we are all equally as fucking messy and we and all not perfect. So it doesn't matter, like, because everyone's doing the self-development work and stuff like that, doesn't make us any better than anyone else. It just means that we're willing to do it. We're choosing us. So if you're going through your own battle or whatever that may be, it's okay if you feel messy at the time. It's just you got to show up for yourself first. Put your foot on that start line, and that's okay. That's the perfect start.
Yeah, yeah, that was good to hear, man. And I guess, you know, we spoke about breath work. That was good. And I can't agree with that any more. Like, Jake, like, well, what are some of the things you recommend or do yourself in terms of, self-development? And
there's a few different things. Like, obviously, you have your men's circle. What if I was to break down everything that you guys have said today? One key thing is that you need a safe environment. We have so much walls up. If we feel judged, if we don't feel like we're safe, then half the reason why that we do what we do is because we don't feel safe. So we project our limiting beliefs on people. We might judge people in case they judge us. We might be, as Graydon said, become the bully. You know, one of my things was I was bullied and I built a superhero. You know, I built my, trained martial arts, and I was that trigger happy by needing to feel safe in an environment. You know, when I was in my heydays and stuff like that, I'd smash you in the face with a glass. I'd fucking, I'd elbow you in the nightclub for bumping me too many times, and I'd tell me to get out of my space. I was banned from every nightclub in Perth. You know, I had an aggressive mentality, but what that was is because my little boy didn't feel safe. So to break that down, where we were talking before, you need a safe space where you feel that you can be yourself. Ayahuasca, everything else, what is actually happening there? You're bringing up memories from the unconscious mind, all of these memories, all these thoughts, and you're processing them. You're processing that suppressed emotion. So these are the key factors that you kind of need to look at. Like, there's a couple of different tools out there, but a safe space is one. That's where you can start it. Just processing and allowing yourself to speak to what's going on for you. If the boys remembered that exercise, if you really knew me, it's letting yourself that shame or guilt or anything else that you have built up inside.
Just quickly on that, if you knew me, talk, like, because we done that with Alan.
That was so fucking hard.
Yeah, I mean, that was
So breaking that down, what are we doing? We are going back to a memory where we have trauma or pain or shame, guilt, anger, hurt, sadness, whatever that may be, and we're giving ourselves permission, whether it be for grey, like permissioning to love yourself, giving yourself permission to speak that into a space. And that's a safe space. And what that does is, and like when we were talking about it, it's like, we're fucking doing the pelicans out there because the body's like, oh, bullshit. Are we fucking gonna say this? And it's just like that. Fucking anyone seen like those movies where the Exorcist or something, people come out from the TV and stuff like that coming out.
That's what it feels like though, doesn't it?
And that's called clearing. It's energetic beings as you go on.
But just at that time when you're in the group, every single person that fucking said something, I was like, yeah, I relate to that. Yeah, I relate
100%.
to that.
Yeah.
That's the thing with mental health. Your battle is probably the same battle as the person next door, you know what I mean? But to go back, you obviously you need that safe space, and then you understanding there's different tools, right? There's different tools that you need, whether breath work that's helping releasing of the unconscious mind, and then in the coaching space and stuff like that, there's the forgiveness process that you guys can do, which works with the inner child healing. But the forgiveness is powerful because it has to start with yourself first. Then it's parents, ex-partners, and allowing those emotions out. But then there's like timeline therapy. There's heaps of different tools out there, like in the coaching space that we use. Psychologists, in my personal opinion, psychologists is amazing. And everyone does it. They're a beautiful job, but it's such a long process sometimes.
You can only talk about it so much as well.
Absolutely. You need tools and be able to implement something. Action. Tools in action. Yeah, you go, Steve.
I think the biggest thing when I work with you, Jake, is the relatability. Is that a word? Relatability?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
I know what you're talking about.
To be able to sit there and talk about things with you, knowing that you're not just talking to me from shit you've read from a book or studied or whatever, but you've experienced it, you've lived it. So it's like a genuine, real back and forth. There's none of this.
Do you know what that is, right? It's a hope. So if you're in a dark place, you have hope. It means that there's something possible, and that opens the mind up. If I have hope, and what Stevie was saying before, he's like, it's possible. So you're already triggering your mind that, hey, I can get through this. Yeah. Whether that be in our own.
And there is fucking hope out there too, man.
Fuck yeah.
I actually like what you said there, Steve, because even when let's talk about the 9D brief work we've done with Alan. Like I guess afterwards, that was the first time I'd done 9D brief work. I've done a lot of brief work, but never 9D. Fucking amazing. Absolute fucking amazing. I think
so good.
Next level.
But then you want to go out there and fucking tell everyone about it. And no one's, I'm going to say it straight, but no one's got the fucking balls to go and do it.
100%.
You know what I mean?
100%.
People are like, it's like, where it kind of gets into, like, you go to the boys have been to, like, I've been to Tony Robbins a few times when I used to be a gang member, jumping up and down, like, woo, this is the best. You come back from these fucking events, like, fired the fuck up. And you get back into reality, and I'm like, this fucking dickhead's just gone to some fairy party, living on planet, don't know fuck all. And you're like, guys, try this. And you're like, right on. Yeah. And I don't know. I don't know if it's something to do with aliens, but enlightenment works like kind of like this. You can't just be like, unless you have a group of people, right? Like, you're like, fuck yeah, I'm fired up, rah, yeah. And boys like, duh. Yeah. How it works is you got to kind of like push people up, and it can't be too much, otherwise they'll repel it. Like, fuck off, dickhead, you don't know what you're talking about. But if I like just a little bit.
But I think the thing is just going back to what Steve said, though. If you can go into these places understanding that it is a safe environment and there is hope in there, because it is in there. It's just that, but when you're talking to people that haven't experienced it, and I see why it's hard to go through the fucking front doors.
Well,
you don't, it's totally the unknown.
Especially
with the shit that you fucking know that can't come up.
And you see people that like haven't been before, and so like we all did at one point. You don't know what's coming, and it fucking comes, and you're like, leave there, and you're like, oh fuck, I gotta go sit down like in dead silence for like 6 hours to figure out what the fuck just happened. But I think a lot of it is you can't force someone into breath work. Breath work's like, you can force someone to a psychologist, you can force someone to a group session. You can force people into those things, and it may help. A lot of times,
but is that just because it's more accepted? I think, like, if it was my son, right, and he's going through some shit, and he was, say, old enough to, say 18 years old, I'd go to fucking brief work, mate.
Yeah,
100%.
Fuck it, I'd force him to go to fucking brief work.
I think because it's just not scientific. Well, it is scientifically backed, but it's also like psychologists. It's like, well, we've done a degree, so we can help you. Which, like Jake said, there is a time and place for that. Do not get me wrong. But breath work, when you're in a vulnerable place, and like I said to a lot of mates, I send it to my mates all the time. I don't have someone to send them the link like you and I spoke about earlier. I won't mention his name, but I sent him the link to the amend. I said, if you feel called to, bro, buy a ticket. He's never done anything like this before, and doing a full day workshop's intense. Said, if you feel called to, buy a ticket. I'll be there. If not, all good, brother. Bought a ticket straight away. Said, I'll see you there. Because he's open to it.
Yep.
Breath work will not work unless you are open to it, I think. Yeah. That's my opinion. Yeah.
Remember when we said, like I said, you have to be willing to put your foot on that start line.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Especially when you get like coaching and stuff like that, you just want to be like, I'm going to fucking help you. I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you. And people are like, fuck off.
No, you got to.
That people have to want it.
Yeah.
They have
Yeah.
to be prepared, as
Yeah.
all of you have said. You know what I mean? You have to be prepared to put your foot on that start line, and it's going to be scary. It's going to give you fucking anxiety.
Yeah.
Steve was like, "Yes, it will."
Going back to the run, and this is something that you guys might be able to comment on with the run, is that we put ourselves in that position. And obviously, to do an ultra marathon, you go into that very, very vulnerable place for a long period of time, but you chose to put yourself there. And it's the same as breath work. It's the same as going to a psychologist.
Yeah.
It's the same as reaching out to a mate. You need to put yourself in that situation. And like we've spoken about earlier, it's that uncomfortable. It's you've got to lean into the uncomfortable, because that is where only positives and growth comes from. Whether it's an ultra marathon, breath work, psychologist, talking to a brother, calling your dad, it's the uncomfortable to
That's
lean
right.
into.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not a fucking holiday.
No, and I like the ultra marathon. Do you think we really wanted to fucking run around a lake for 15 to 24 hours?
In like the -1 degrees.
What was the hardest part of it? Was it the night time or the like? Run me through how. Like,
Yeah, what do you
someone
reckon,
break me-
Steve? What do you
break
think
it
your
down?
hardest part was?
I preferred the night. I
Yeah.
like running through the night because after about 5 or 10 minutes of running, you get that sort of thermal layer.
Yep.
And I just found it's darker. You can't see as much. It's just you got in that. I got in
in
this
the
weird
zone,
Yeah, in the zone, like almost autopilot. You're just watching the trail, just running. Just sometimes you're talking, sometimes you're not. It's
Did you find your distance as well? Like for me, it doesn't seem as long.
It doesn't.
Because you can't see fuck all.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay. Yeah.
So the hardest thing, just I don't know. I'll leave that for you boys.
Talk me
I'm
through
gonna
the
have to
mind,
think
boys.
about
Like, I guess, I mean, for me, it would have been the quit or fucking quit, like you're talking about before, Graydon. But so how do you overcome this sort of stuff, man? Like,
I think you can relate it back to life, and that's the beautiful thing about running is it's so relatable to life. But a big part of it for me was compartmentalizing it. So breaking it down, it's like, okay, I've got this 6.7 kilometre loop to run in an hour. Let's break that down to 50 metre segments.
Yeah.
I'm going to run to that tree.
Yep.
And then when I get there, I'm going to slow down. I'm going to walk across that path. And then I'll get to the end of that path, and you just break it down, and you're just constantly doing that, just breaking down this huge thing down into bite-sized chunks. And it just mentally, it just makes
that's fucking awesome, bro.
Yeah.
Because if you do relate that to life or mental health, like you were
Just
trying
about to say that,
it's not about becoming that fucking great dad you want to be. It's about getting to the starting line, man.
But that's the harsh reality in life when it comes to that's such a good analogy, that running to mental health, because you don't, if you've got mental health issues, you don't go and talk to psychologists and it's all sorted.
Yeah.
No, you need to actually start maybe hitting the gym, change your diet a bit, stop taking drugs, but there's so many steps that you have to overcome, and it's the exact same as like Steve just said. You don't think about it, right, I'm going to run 100 Ks. All right, that's first K, second K. No, you break it the fuck down. And that's exactly how I went about it as well. I said, right, I've got to run, I think it was 15 laps to get 100 Ks. So I was like, all right, half 15, 7.5. All right, and then half of 7.5. And I kept doing that until eventually I got down to 2 laps. I was like, all right, it's 2 laps this many times. Let's just get 2 laps done. You get 2 laps and you're like, all right, we've got 2. Let's just get 2 more laps done. And breaking it up, and that is such a good analogy for mental health. You cannot take it in one hit, one battle. You got to break it down and little steps. Yeah.
And just on that, this is a tool for people to use. The boys just hit something on the head without even knowing. And I heard this great metaphor. It's like, how would you eat an elephant? When you think of eating an elephant, you're like, what the fuck? How am I going to eat an elephant? And this is an analogy to a 100K race, life, everything. You eat it in bite-sized pieces. Because when you do it in bite-sized pieces, it becomes achievable. So if you want to relate that back to anything that you're doing in life, whether it's a 100K race, I can't do that, but can you run 50 metres? I can do that. Do that repeatedly.
Yep.
Whether it's like, I'm a bad father or whatever it may be. Oh, it's so hard to be a good dad. It's how do you even be that? What do you think the first step would be? Oh, I would probably not be drinking as much or whatever it may be. You know what I mean? For each individual fucking person, or if you want to be the best version of yourself, how does that look like? Going to the fucking gym, cutting down the booze. So it's that just one little step that you've got to do, and then you keep doing that, and then you've run 160 miles. 100 miles or 100 kilometres.
I guess just to add to that as well, I guess your second lap around, I'm going to do a little bit better. I just know to run on that side or to slow here or go faster there.
Yeah.
And then each lap you're getting better and better as well.
And that elephant analogy is good. Like John C. Maxwell, who's an author and entrepreneur, he's written 86 books, and they're all like bestsellers. I don't know if you've read any of his books; they're just insane. And on a podcast, they say, how have you written so many books? He goes, I just write a word at a time.
Yeah.
Just write a word.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's
true.
as simple
One
as
You've
that.
got a good
though.
one for that, Stevie. You listen to The Power of One More by Ed Milet.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
one more.
he's done that as well.
Yeah.
Just one more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just one more.
It's so true though. With like the gym, one more rep, you are gonna get better. Reading a book, one more word, one more page, you will end up reading more. Like it's such a good analogy.
Yeah.
And with the running, for me, it was now I fucked up. So
What was that?
I'm extremely dyslexic, right? And I counted the laps in my head. Every now and then I had to readjust, right? Especially when you got, nutrition, pain, you got all sorts. You go, right, we got to readjust, your speed, whatever you're doing. And I was like getting towards the end and I'm just breaking down, like we said, the laps. I'm like, right, do this lap. And then I got 2 more and I'm fucking done. I'm in 100. I've hit 100. Like I'm pushed through. Did one more. I'm on my last lap. I'm like, you fucking beauty. And I was like, I better just quickly double check my maths. Got my phone out. I've like done the maths. I had another 3 laps to go. And then he come running next to me. I'm fucking crying. And I'm just like, fuck. And that was like, because I just went with that mentality. Fuck yeah, just one more. And it's done, just one more. Fucking 3 more.
Yeah.
And that's break it back down. Right, let's just do one more. Let's just do one more.
This has just brought up something now. Yeah. Like, so you've celebrated that you got to the end and you've done it, but that's not really the end of the journey, is it?
No.
What goes on from finishing the ultra?
I think for me, like my biggest thing is like I come off working, like I've been businessy in a massive, not like a necessarily rut. We've rebranded. We engaged in a legal fight. I've been working 16-hour fucking days.
You got someone pestering you for a fucking...
Yeah, Dave. I'm in here. I'm in I call it the business grinder. In Hell Week, in Navy SEAL Week, they call it the grinder. And I can tell my business partners I'm in the business grinder. And it's just, we wake up at 3:45 or 4 a.m. I go to the work. I fucking work. Then I go listen to a podcast home. Then I work at home. Then I literally go to fucking work till 7 o'clock at night. Then I get home at 8 o'clock at night. I do my evening routine and I repeat that. There is literally no deterrent from that. So I'm in a constant workflow of like anywhere from 14 to 16 or 12 to 16 hour days. And I do that that week. And then I'm like, I'm just going to go get really stressed right now. I'm going to fucking run an ultramarathon with these pricks. And you know what I mean? So I'm doing that. Then you got to try to find, and then then you're in there, you're working 16-hour days. So I'm time blocked. Every hour of my day is accounted for. And I've got to try to find 6 to fucking 10 hours a week to train. Whilst when you're stressed as fuck, you don't know what's going on, up or down. You just got to keep on fucking fighting. You know what I mean? And it was just fucking so much taxing on the body just coming into it.
Yep.
It was fucked.
And coming out of that, so then after the ultra has been done, how's last week been for you in terms of business and
the boys? Like I pulled the pin voluntarily at lap 17, and it wasn't. And I didn't give it 150%. I spoke to Steve about this before. But I said, I was like, obviously I battled, like, this is a good story. I may as well get this one out of the way now.
We're all waiting for it.
Yeah, we're waiting for the
go.
story. So, like, I got what's called runner's gut. So it's like runner's diarrhea. I don't know if it was from my nutrition or just pure impact on the body. And I fucking don't even know what time, like, lap we were on. It was -1 degrees. It was
Did you know about this before it happened? Like what it was?
No. I had to Google it afterwards.
Yeah.
I was like, why the fuck is this happening?
It come as a surprise, didn't it?
I was just running, as I got in, it was like still running the laps at a pretty good time. We want to try to get it in about anywhere from 45 to 50 minutes. If you go unless you go to shower or anything, if you go too early, you're gonna have too much time. Body seizes up, and if you go too thin, you've got probably too much time on your feet. If you get in there you get in there too late, you don't have enough time to recover. So your 45 to 50 minutes is like your sweet spot. You get in there, you don't get too comfortable, you get everything, all your needs met. Anyway, so I was coming in to the lap, hit my watch, got to run to the fucking toilet, people in there, I'm like, how the fuck, my time, oh my god, in there, disgusting. In back out, try to get back in there. Got 3 fucking minutes. Got to do it again. Pounding out on the pavement and the second lap happened again. Come back out, try to get all my shit. Fucking, I was like, fuck. This is like another 2 hours in, still fucking battling stomach cramps. And mind you, I also it was actually pretty good. I had a hip bursitis as well. But on the run, it was actually the best it's ever been. I tried running in the gym just 2 hours ago. I was like, oh, my hip. But yeah, I got to the 3rd lap.
But at this point, Jake, you'd run probably...
I think it was over 50 miles, maybe.
Yeah, I think you're up about the 70k mark.
Or 70k mark. And I come out on lap 13. I can't remember. It was like cold as shit. And I was just like... I was like... body was quivering, legs were shaking. I was like, fuck. Nah, surely not. Nah. I was like, hey, where's the toilet? People were like, there isn't one. I was like, fuck, I'll keep running. And I was just like... I was like, nah. Ran into the paddock, man, and it was like, and I was just like, couldn't stop it, man. I was was like full Neanderthal, man. Pulled my jacks down and just went on the tree, and I was like, all right, cool. I turned my headlight off because people were like, I didn't want anyone to see me, like in my moment of shame, pretty much. And then it was like, fuck. I went to go pull my packets up. It was in my skins. Pulled my shorts off. Took my shorts off. Fuck. Took my pants off. I'm sitting there starkest, willy out in the fucking paddock, freezing cold, -1 degrees. I'm like, fuck, what do I do? I'm naked with both like gloves on and like fucking Spider-Man sitting there. I'm like, fuck. Brand new 2XU gloves for warmth because it's freezing out there. You needed them. Took it off, wiped myself down. I was like, looked at my watch. I'm like, fuck, I'm gonna DNF. I'm behind. Ran, started running, got like 250 meters up. Where the fuck's my water? Left my rum belt over there. Had to run back, get my fucking belt then, and I was like, fuck.
I'm going to have to add something in here because I was well behind by this point. I'm running at the end of the pack, and Jake was so far ahead of me, and I'm running pitch black, and I just fucking see Jake running out the bushes. He's like, hey, bro. I'm like, what's going on? He's like, I just shit myself. And then off he went. I'm like, Alicia was like, you're a fucking...
It was a comeback, man. I had to run
That's
usually
impressive.
in a like an ultra marathon or whatever, we use an adopt a run walk strategy. It's to take load off your body, and that so you can also recover. So it's like you run a bit depending. There's so many different strategies out there. I won't go into them, but you do a run walk strategy, and I just had to fucking run as fast as I could, and I was just so I could. Otherwise, I was going to DNF, and I was the last one. I was like the last one, and I caught up to Grader. He was at the pack. He was crying at the time and having an emotional. I'm like, Grader, you're all right. I'm so behind, and he's just like, fuck, going through his emotional battles and stuff like that. I gotta shit myself again. So I passed Grader while he was in a fucking war, and I was just like, got back up, ran there. I think I don't know what time I got in. I must have had like 5 or 3 minutes. I'm not sure if what time I came in. I was like, no. But we had Run Mum and Dad there, and they were just supporting it, being our support crew at the time. Shell and everyone was away, and I was like, I need baby wipes. I cleaned all myself off, cleaned it all off my butt and stuff still, and then with that runner's diarrhea, it still didn't stop. So I was like, I need baby wipes, forgot my water bottle. Someone gave me a snake out there, forgot to refuel. And I just ran up to the start line, and I was just like, ran as fast as I could, got to this place where this caravan park was, and it was just like, oh, fuck, not again. Not again. And when you're obviously doing that, hopefully
That'd be draining, man.
Yeah, I was going to say, you lose all your nutrients, your hydration, and then it's like everything's coming out of me. It's fucked. So I had to sit, I'll tell the story. I had to sit on the toe ball bit, use that as like a toilet. Not a toe ball, like my ass, but the triangle bit, use that as a toilet. I had to take all my fucking shit off again, Spider-Man sitting there naked again. Got one glove this time, but I was like, don't need to use you. I got baby wipes this time. Sat on there, I was like, when? Use the baby wipes this time. I was like, hopefully no one ever sees this. Threw it on the floor. It's like, poo everywhere. I was like, fuck. And then I was straight back in, and then I don't even know what lap we were on. Do you know what lap we were on by then? But after that lap, it was 4 hours of torture. I finally pulled it back and got in with a bit more time to fucking try to replenish me somewhat possible, because it was just
as if an ultramarathon's not hard enough.
The fact that to watch Jakey keep going, man, I saw him at the start line a few times after that, and you could just see, when someone's face is just, we were all fucking drained, but he was just wiped, and you could see there was just,
Running behind you just stunk like baby wipes as well. I remember like you're running in front of me and I'm like, oh, this is going to smell bad. And all I can smell was baby wipes. I'm like, oh, it smell that bad.
What was keeping you going, man? I mean, you could have quit at that stage.
No, so like for me, man, like when I go through all these events, it's just like kind of like it's character building. If you want to be this person, right, it's having an undeniable amount of evidence you are who you say you are. And me going through all of this is just, I would say it's character building. It's me being able to put myself out there, put myself in uncomfortable situations and be able to deal with it, learn from it and move forward and then empower other people to do the same thing. And that was the same reason why, like, even running into this, and I reiterated that before, I was on lap 16. And those voices again, I had to deter. I was like, is this an excuse? Or am I just letting myself down here? If you pull the pin here, you're going to be let down. I had this conversation with me all that just was there. I was like, excuse, is this ego? What is this? This voice coming up? I was like, are you at your limit? No, you're not. But is it an excuse? But what I really had to have down of back to the business grinder. All right, cool. Let's just say you keep going. And I seen how fucked Steve-O was too. I'm so fucking glad that I didn't try to push it. Fucking unbelievable, you know what I mean? I'm so glad that he kept pushing because for the 100 miles. And I just got there. I was like, okay, let's be it. All right, you keep running Saturday. You try to sleep or whatever. And the boys didn't sleep anyway. Everyone was fucked and they're not recovering. And then you do all of that, and then you're fucked all Sunday, and that's my self-care time. I need that because I'm so fucking...
And were you prepared for the self-care time? I mean, you obviously would have spoke about it.
So, obviously, we're understaffed. We're understaffed. So I had to, had to ask favours in to actually come to the Ultra. Otherwise, I almost wouldn't go because I couldn't just leave the business, you know what I mean? So I got the help that I needed to, get the Thursday and Friday off for preparation so I could actually go. But then I had to come in I was up at 3:45 on Monday morning and I had to plan all the business on Sunday and I was understaffed, back in, all go. You know what I mean? Like we had one of our boys come in for help, but we're still understaffed and was back into we had 30 people starting an 8-week challenge. I was back in it was just Grado knows what this is. It's called business uppercuts. When you just get fed and your nervous system's just like, fuck you, bam, you're in a heightened state. You this is
you want to succeed? Fuck off.
You piece of shit. And I just said to the boys, I had that conversation. I was like, I want to enjoy my Saturday. I'm going to go sleep in the back of this shitty gets with no blankets for 4 hours. And I'm going to come.
Before that, though, I remember waking up and I look and I got as much layers as I could, and I was still cold. And Jake's curled up in the fetal position,
trying to sleep in there. But I was the guys was like, no, I was like, you won't. I have plenty of times to send out. I've already tried. The boys are already thinking about doing 200-mile delirious, the 100-mile delirious, and different events. I was like, it's not that I need me time. Yeah. It's my own mental health that I'm prioritizing. Yes. If this was the last opportunity to ever fucking do it and I was going to die tomorrow, I would fucking go. When we did the Light Horse Ultra, I fucking sent everything bit of me, and it's a empowering feeling. But I just said, hey, I'm happy and I'm content with doing this. I've battled shitting myself 50,000 times and coming back from dying for what it felt like. I'm cool. I'm here. I'm done.
One thing I get from that, man, and just relating it to mental health and and talking about the tools to overcome mental health or any struggles that you're going through. Just on that note, man, the struggle. I mean, it's having a purpose too, man. I mean, you said, who you believe you are, and your business and coaching and things like that help you drive to be that better man. And it's
who I desire to be. Yeah. I want to be that motherfucker that can go through hell and back and still be standing. Yeah. So that's my thing. And then if I can do that, guess what? I'm going to show everyone else how to do it. Because that's what drives me. I was like, if you want to be this person, you've got to do what it takes, and you have to be able to deal with stress, resilience, and you show other people that it's possible. And then you surround yourself with guys like this as well, and then they fucking show you what they and bring you up even more. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a true leader. That's what a true leader does. They practice what they preach. You put yourself through the fucking ropes, through hell and back, to then help other people do the same. That's the fucking leader. And that builds
the trust, like Steve was saying. You know, there's hope when you're talking to someone that can say, fucking, I've done that. I've been there. I've got you, bro.
I'm with you. Yeah, 100%.
And I think you inspire, Grado inspires me for his discipline. Steve-O inspires me for his planning and his fucking, determination to fucking just send it. You know what I mean? Again, and his spreadsheets. But watching him do put himself out on the line like that, I was just like, fuck yeah, Grado coming in with no adequate training, just not giving up. and just like just witnessing stuff like that, you're just like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna even go do all of it. It just gives you fire, and it's just like, fuck yeah, this is what I believe is fucking living. You know, putting it all out there and becoming a better
and that
you.
purpose, man. Like I know that even with this podcast, it gives me the purpose, and it makes me want to change and walk through doors as well. And
fuck yeah, bro, well done.
And to tell a story of like yesterday, I woke up yesterday morning feeling absolute fucking rat shit. The night before, I'd done a men's podcast like this on Thursday night, and fucking just getting the energy was fucking through the roof, man. Feeling really good. You know what it's like when you sort of walk away from it.
Yeah.
Now I just woke up the following morning, man, just feeling absolute fucking like rat shit. Couldn't get out of bed, and I'm just like, fuck, what do I like proper depressed, man. And I don't know what it was. I don't know what was bottling up, but I just knew it. But I knew it was there. Like something had to come up. And straight away, I've called up Luke, who I've had on here before. He does like sound healing and cacao and a whole lot of things. And I just had a calling to just reach out to him, man. You know, as a mate and someone that I can trust in. And anyway, I sent him a message, and he goes. I was expecting just a phone call. Hey man, you know, and chat it out. And he was like, nah, mate, get here at 1 o'clock. You know, we'll sort this out. He goes, I've got you.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love that.
And then the whole day, and that's pretty much it, you know. And like I guess, and the whole day, I'm like, oh, what the fuck am I going? I'm out of my comfort zone here. What am I going to do? Go around there and spill my fucking guts and fucking, you know, I'm going to carry. You know, all these things are like, don't do it. You know, fucking suppress it, mate. Fuck it. You know, don't. You know,
Everyone's like, heard that.
Yeah. Or go, you know,
Egos
like
knocking on the door.
Or go to the pub, man. It's a fucking way easier option. You know, So anyway, I've gone about my whole day. And anyway, I get there that afternoon, and even Luke's in there going, man, this is bold of you, bro, to fucking be able to do this, because he knew I was completely out of my comfort zone with it all as well. Anyway, like we done cacao, and he done this sound, like it was a one-on-one sound healing thing, and we're sitting on the carpet facing each other, and even when he starts the sound healing, and I'm sitting like, Dave, like, is there a way you can get out of this? It's
that same thing.
It's the thing, but like the whole, I guess what I'm trying. So anyway, we done the sound healing, man. And just before the sound healing, I'd messaged my two sisters to say, hey man, can we catch up tonight? I just feel like I need to be around some family, because I knew, you know, family, being around people that you know, I'm feeling fucking pretty shit. And then my younger of my two sisters said to me, it's probably because your mum, I found my mum dead through suicide when I was 14. And it's her anniversary tomorrow of death. And this is, and that's what I was feeling. And in fact, before the sound healing, a song come on of Tupac, Dear Mama, and I'm in the car absolutely fucking crying. And this is what was coming up that morning. And I don't know if it had anything to do with the anniversary, but it come up in that morning. I didn't know it was anything to do with my mum, but as the day went on and that Tupac song come on, and then my sister reminded me it's probably because it's mum's anniversary on the Sunday, and I'm bawling my eyes out. So then by the time I've got to Luke, I'm fucking teared up, man. I'm teared up. And then it's good to just have a brother. He goes, I've got you. And then I just needed to become vulnerable though, man. I'd only just knocked that. I was only just at the starting line. And, you know, and I'm feeling I felt completely uncomfortable by messaging Luke, but I done it.
You know what, man?
Yeah.
Honestly, I have to touch on that, because you took that step. Like you took that step to ask for help. You let the ego and the pride just take a back seat, and you actually ask for help.
Well, the whole time, again, just going back on to what Jake was saying, like the whole time I'm going, well, here I am talking on this fucking podcast about getting out of your comfort zone and all this shit, and I'm thinking, well, fuck, I need to be that, man. This is the universe saying, righto, cunt. You know,
thank you, universe. Take that, motherfucker.
And then, anyway, we went through all this sound healing, and I was crying, and it all got brought up and everything else, man. And then afterwards, we're still on the carpet on our cushions in a yoga, fucking, you know, cross-legged. And Luke and I'm just like, holy fuck, bro. And I was just so grateful what just come up, what went. And even then, it was just like, you have a laugh. And it was like, what a fucking journey I've been on today. And also just get to share it with you boys like this as well, you know, because I guess that sort of just sums it all up of, that felt like a fucking marathon in itself, the day, you know, mentally.
Can I just point out, there's three things again. Remember, a safe space, a process that someone went through, and then a releasing of emotions. So that's the three things. So if you're a mental health person, if you're struggling, a safe space, you have to go through a process of, or a journey of allowing yourself to release emotions.
Yeah. And if you don't have those people in your corner, like you did with Luke, get better friends. Honestly, it's as simple as that. If you don't have, and this is for the people listening, if you don't have someone in your corner, it's a harsh reality to face. You might have mates. I had a lot of mates, but I didn't have mates that I could do that with, though. Like, like I spoke about in the last podcast, when I print off the photo of my mates and the emotions come and hit me, and Steve rang me, and it's just what I fucking needed. You said, I can't remember what you said, but it was so fucking funny. And it just made me laugh, man. And I was just sitting at my computer desk and fucking crying. And then I'm like, it just makes me laugh. And if you don't have those kind of friends, you got to fucking find them, man.
Well, they don't necessarily need to be friends. I guess the reason why I do this podcast, and then I get people on, then I go and grab all their email and all their contact details. I put them on my website. And then on that website, for argument's sake, Alan Ward, 9D Breathwork, his details are on there. People hear the podcast, they want to do it, jump on. And I'm sure that every person on podcast, including you guys, if they don't have a mate, but they want to know about this, they can fucking call one of us boys up and would quite happily 100%. Fucking hold their hand through it, mate.
Doors always open, eh? Doors always open.
And so they don't necessarily need to be mates. And I think if you are out there and all your mates are fucking drop kicks, and, you can't blame your mates anyway.
No.
It's like Jake said before, it's all internal. You need to go internal.
You're in control of your own life. If the people around you aren't adding value, you fucking get rid of them.
Yeah.
It's savage, but it's
that's the
how it
cleric
needs to
coming
be.
out in what we called Graydon's cleric, which is like, fuck off. Straight to the point.
Sometimes you got to be like that, though.
I like it.
Honestly, if you try and just please them all the time, you're just putting your mental health at jeopardy. Like, that's what you're doing, man. You're jeopardising your own mental health. Sometimes you have to be savage. You don't have to just boot them out of your life, but you just restrict your time with them.
That's
and
good.
give people that add value, like, you guys, more time. Because by you putting more time into you guys, I add value to you, and you guys add immense value to me. And it's something that reciprocates. We've got a friend where it's not,
proximity.
And they're like an energy vampire. You don't have to boot them out of your life and be a savage kind about it, but you can just say, look, man, I want to delve down this area. You might not hear from me that much, but I'm still want to catch you for a coffee sometime. Just distance yourself. Yeah. You've got to take it. You are in control of that. No one else can do that for you.
Yeah.
And it's just being aware of it, I think.
Yeah. I think, like you say, just that environment is so key. Like, and relating that to the last 4 laps of the run, the last 4 hours of the run that we
shit.
did.
Was that because you knew it was coming to an end?
Yeah.
I mean, it was shit anyway.
It wasn't
it gets
until
harder.
the last 10 minutes of the last lap I sort of went, okay, I think I've got this. Like, it was up until then I was just batting and like just one foot in front of the other, just keep moving. And it wasn't till, that last 10 minutes I thought, fuck, you might actually do this. Like, but yeah, it's like Grade's pointed this out to me the other day. Like, it's what you let into your environment. It's your choice what you allow to come into your environment. And in those last 4 laps, man, I wasn't consciously aware of it, but I was letting certain things into my realm or my environment or where I was at, and there were certain things I was just completely ignoring. And I think I was just so like locked onto. I was like, I'm going to get 24 hours. I had that tunnel vision, and whatever's going to serve me, I'll let it in. Like, I'd come in from a lap, I'd just walk to that chair, sit down, recline back. And then someone would say, oh, what food do you want? And I'd just say, yep, give me that. And then Jake would probably make some annoying comment, and I'd be like, just, ignore that. You don't need that. And then it'd be like, someone else would come along and say, do you need this? And it was relevant to what I needed. Okay, I'll let that in and I'll take a bit of that. But you've got to be so aware of what you let into your environment. And that's really what got me through, is just being locked onto the target and just allowing in what I needed in that moment. And the rest of it was just fucking, just let it go.
Being in control of it.
And letting it go, bro.
Yeah.
So, fuck, that's good, man.
That was just to touch on that as well. Like, one of the things that I was doing when I was in the run, and as all the boys will know, you have so many thoughts that come to mind. I always do this, and I actually learnt this, and a lot of people kind of preach about it, is standing guard at the gateway of your mind. And I was committed as I was through this run. I was like, I'm only going to be thinking above the line. Think thoughts that I need, thoughts that I want, thoughts that push me forward. And then the voice would come in, you fuck, this is fuck. I was like, shut the fuck up. Let's go. Straightforward. And I was just like, and that's a commitment. So the things is something like a habit is created, right? You do something repeatedly. So if you think negatively repeatedly, you're going to be that way. So that my commitment when I was on the run, I was like above the line fucking thinking. Fuck off thought. Same as what Steve was saying. He was so locked onto his targets. I was so aware of my thoughts that as soon as something come creeping in, like, motherfucker, here I am. I was like, fuck off.
Yeah.
Let's go.
That's so important, man.
Yeah.
Like, touched on that as well. For me, not training, and like I touched on at the start of this podcast, the belief. I was savage, man. Like, savage. I even said to my dad a few times, shut the fuck up. Because I said to everybody within my close vicinity, if it ain't positive, you can fuck off. I don't want an ounce of... Because I'm already battling a fucking roller coaster of belief in my head. Like, are you good enough for this? Are you just fucking showing off? Have you got what it takes? And you battle it. And you're in a vulnerable state. You're in a powerful state, but you're in a vulnerable state. So for someone to just sort of slight negative comment, and it happened, man, I let a family member who I love, and it's out of care though. It is out of care, but it's not needed. And I let it in. It fucked me up for like 3 or 4 days. And I had to constantly work on that belief again. And that is just what we've all just touched on. It's just letting that, especially in an event like that, whether or not you're in a very vulnerable place of depression, suicidal, anxiety, stuff like that, or you're doing an ultramarathon or your business or anything like that, if you're in a state where you are vulnerable, which is a good state to be in, that's where growth comes from, but you've got to make sure you've got letting the right things in. And like I said, when it comes to that ultra, I knew the risks, and I knew that if I let negative in, it'll sabotage it, and that's why I was savage. And I said to people, I made it obvious, I said, do not give any unless it's fucking positive, I don't want to hear about it. I know I'm doing something that's fucking stupid, like not training. I know that it's nearly unrealistic, but you've got to strive for those unrealistic goals and make them fucking realistic. But you've got to have that positive influence. Otherwise, you just, like you said, it's a habit. Yeah. Negative, you're back.
And just hearing the three of your guys' stories through the ultra, with all the different things you were challenged with, it's, I mean, you've proven yourself, like you can do it. You know, like, I mean, I guess, like, you know, sometimes when you go and set yourself a challenge and all those negative thoughts do come in your mind, or nervousness, like if you're going into, say, breath work for your first time, you're always going to think it's the worst thing fucking ever. This is going to happen, that's going to happen. But it's never as bad as what you think it is. And I mean, you boys are all telling me, like, you went in with no preparation, you had all those sort of thoughts come through, but you come out the other side, man.
And done it. And, you know, people used to say this to me when I started my growth journey 2 years ago. There's nothing special about me. I just gave it a crack. And I used to hear that all the time and think, fuck off, you're special. There's nothing special about me. If anyone wanted to run an ultramarathon, doesn't matter if you're fat, if you've got a disability, whatever, you can fucking do it. Literally, there is nothing. I run like a fucking retarded elephant. Like, I know you idiots can both comment on that as well. Like, I'm not a runner. I'm not good at it. Like, anybody can do it. Yeah, like, right. I can honestly say that. It doesn't have to be an ultramarathon, but if you want to get out of the depression, if you want to get better relationships, if you want to start a business, if you want to do anything like that, anybody can. Yeah. It's just your environment, what you let in, and what you decide to choose to do. But there is nothing special about any of us here. We all just gave it a crack. Same with you, with the podcast, the ultramarathon, you know, your businesses, like, nothing special.
Yeah, I say that all the time. Even when I had my business, I had people coming up to me all the time, like, you know, talking, oh, Dave, I'm thinking about doing business, or I want to do this, want to do that. It's like, just fucking do it. Like, I mean, that's the starting line. Just go to the starting line and fucking do it.
Yep.
Yeah. I think, like on that, getting to the starting line, and then people have to, same with doing the work, get to the start line, deal with those fears. You know what I mean?
When they come up.
Yeah, deal with those fears. It's a part of stretching your comfort zone. Same thing as you do, the fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of embarrassment, whatever it is, they're all going to come up. And same thing with the ultra marathon, fear of failure. What if I don't do this? What if people judge me? What if all of these things happen? You have to learn to be okay with that and deal with that.
And isn't it true though? Like, I mean, if you're going to go and do something, regardless if it's business, go into a relationship, do a marathon, whatever it may be, you're going to there's going to be things that come up that are going to talk you out of it. And the more you dwell on that, the more you're going to talk yourself out of it. When you go and just go, fuck it, I'm going to go to the starting line, those things that you think are going to happen, if they happen, deal with it then. Don't deal with them in your fucking mind leading up to...
Because your mind catastrophizes.
In the moment. And the beautiful thing about getting to the starting line is action creates motivation.
Yep.
It doesn't work the other way
100%.
around. You don't get motivated and then take action on it. So once you're at the starting line, that's the action. You get rolling, the motivation will come.
Yeah.
So you just got to start.
Yeah, that's so true, man.
It's true, bro.
Hit the head on and I love that, Stevie.
In like an overall perspective, like we've already spoken about breaking it down, and I get caught. I'm this worst culprit for it is, especially with business. We go to business is when I started my traditional business of equipment hire. I was thinking, what about paying super and taxes and employees and this? I'm like, I haven't even got a fucking machine yet. but you're thinking about the whole thing. Yeah, man. But that's
Steve.
I know, Steve, you can relate, but it's like you don't. Obviously, that's all going to come at all in good time. Yeah. But how about let's just fucking create an ABN, you know? Like, let's just take a first fucking step, then the next step. And even now, to this day, I'll definitely put my hand up, especially with business. It'll get overwhelm me, and I'll have to take a step back and say, you're not even fucking there yet. Chill out. Just keep working on what you... Obviously, look ahead, know where you want to go, but stop focusing on trying to do a job that's not
all
even
the what ifs,
future.
like the what ifs. The what ifs are the what ifs. If people, I mean, you guys could, if you're going into business and you were telling me, oh, but what is this and what is that? Like, yeah, fuck. I mean, you're right. That could happen, but it also could not happen.
Yeah.
You know, but it's funny how sometimes we can just sort of,
and it's positive and negative though, isn't it?
yeah.
It's like,
but we always relate to the fucking.
Yeah.
The negative part of it.
And it's like my business partner for my traditional business. He said, you know, he goes, I figured it out. I was like, what have you figured out? He goes, you've just got a massive set of fucking balls. And I was like, I don't think so, man. I'm just going fucking hard. I got no. There's so much uncertainty, man. You throw it all on the line, and like Jake and I have spoken a few times, you know, you could lose everything. Yeah. I'll put everything on. I sold the Harley. I put everything on the line, man. But it's like,
that too, yeah.
You know, it is having a set of balls to do it. Fair enough, but also it's just having belief. It's gonna fucking work.
And and it is going to work, but also, you know, and this is what I tell my boy as well. I want you to fail, mate, because if you're failing, it means you're giving things a fucking go.
Yeah.
100%.
But the thing is with failure, as long as you stand up, dust yourself off, realise what the fuck just went on, learn from it, then fucking go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like in business, yes, those things can happen. And if you do fail, sweet as. At least you're fucking a high percentage of giving it a fucking go, learning from it, dusting yourself off, and having another fucking crack at it.
And using it as fuel.
Yeah.
Like, fuck, I'm not doing that again.
And I guess this is somewhere where there's the men's breathworks and things, because the guilt of it is another thing, man. You know, like when you do, I'm just talking about failure now. You know, we hold on to that stuff rather than use it as fuel to... You know, Jake, you probably know a lot of it with coaching and things, but I know with me losing, you know, I had a fucking empire of a business, and losing it all, losing the family, and seeing the destruction it made, and even for those that were employed by me, you know, the guilt that you still hold, even today, man, it comes up like, oh, Dave, you could have done this, you should have done that, you fucking, but you know, you got to learn from it, man.
And that's like having no regrets. Like I don't regret anything in life. I did for a long time. I don't regret anything because I've learnt from it all. I reflect on it, it comes up, the emotions come up. I reflect on it and I learn from it. And one that comes up straight away is just how you treat females, you know. You go through the younger party stages, you know, you're just sleeping around. I don't regret any of that because now I've learnt from it. I'm a better person because of it, and I'll never do it again, you know. And I think that's the important part. You shouldn't live with regret. You should just learn.
As long
from
as you're
it.
learning, that's right.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're doing the same thing over and hurting someone, same over and over again, well then fuck you. You should feel the fucking
100%.
Yeah.
Shame on you kind of scenario, that one.
But if you've done it, and we spoke about that, you know, and even with our past, and I'm sure we've all done some fucking stupid shit, and some stuff that we've heard other people.
We got 4 idiots right
here. More than one. Yeah. I don't know, man. Well, is anything else? We'll probably wind it up at here, but I don't know. Do we want to go around? Is there anything you want to sort of share that we've missed out, or?
you know, for me, just going, I suppose, the ultramarathon, what the topic is about, you know, I just want people that are listening to know that something like this, like obviously I have been open about why I haven't validated myself. I have work to be done there. I'm aware of it. I'm taking action on it. And I am validating myself now. You know, now we've spoken about it. I did fucking do it, you know. I did that, and I'm celebrating it. But I just want to, you know, the roller coaster of emotions that we had to go through to push through that event, even if it's a half marathon, full marathon, ultra marathon. But what I went through and the amount of times I wanted to fucking quit, I can't even describe how many times I wanted to quit and battled and like, obviously with my personality, I'm a little bit full on sometimes. So I'd just fucking abuse myself. I'd be like, you fucking run, you piece of shit. Like, you want to quit, you still fucking walk it, keep going. That's obviously my personality. That's not for everyone. But, you know, I battled and battled and battled and battled and battled. And then you get aches and pains and it's just ongoing. But I want people listening to understand that when you do push past that, it is fucking empowering. It is empowering. It is satisfying. It is emotional. There is not one single fucking negative thing from it. I can promise you that. Even the fact that I haven't validated myself might come across as something negative, but having this conversation and realisation that it stems back to my childhood being bullied is a fucking positive. I've just opened I've started peeling another onion, you know, like I'm getting into a whole nother ball game now, which excites me. So just for people listening, you know, you push through, especially with men's mental health, females, you want to quit. You talk to yourself, you know, you talk yourself out of it, you talk yourself down, you know, you've got those suicidal thoughts. It's no different to the ultramarathon. You just keep fucking pushing, and eventually you will. Like, you will. Doesn't matter if you push for 6 months, 6 years. You eventually will get to that finish line and it'll fucking empower you. And like what we're doing, then we'll go and help people now with either mental health who wants to run a fucking ultra, and we'll help them through that. Because when you get to that finish line and you get that empowerment, your next step in life is a whole nother journey. And when it comes to mental health, that is where this conversation right now is going to help people, because it's you don't need to run an ultra, but it's the same kind of mental battle.
I appreciate what you've just said there, man, because you and you've said it perfectly. And this is the purpose of my podcast, is hearing those stories. And I like how we've related it to an ultra marathon. And I like how you've also, like, you've done the work as if you were doing it as if you had mental health, like looking at it in that way, like you know what, being unprepared for it.
No, I appreciate that. And like I said, don't need to do an ultra.
No.
just you know,
don't do an ultra.
I mean,
For those listening at home, it's shit.
Man.
Was just quickly though, what out of any years, did you actually quit and then go, nah, fuck, I'm not quitting? Like, did you quit?
No,
I mean, like, did you sort of, like, you know, halfway around and just go, fuck, I'm not doing it? You know, I'm done.
That thought never came in. That, like I said before, the belief came through where I was like, fuck, I don't know if I can do this. Yeah. But it was just keep running, just one foot in front of the other, keep moving, and let's just see what happens.
You know, touching on what Jake said, I did right at the end with the time. So I'd done the maths, and I'm like, if I really push it on this knee, I'll make it within that time cut. So consciously, I purposely didn't push it to purposely not make that time cut, if I'll be honest with you. Because I knew if I did make the time cut, I nearly most likely would not have made the next lap, and I would have fucked my knee up. And I set a goal of 100, and I knew that lap was the 100. So I did intentionally not go quicker. So I wouldn't say I quit, and I had to talk to myself about it, like Jake mentioned, and be okay with it. I was like, I can push, and I reckon it was 30 seconds before the time. I could have pushed that for sure, but I didn't. But it's because I'd reached my goal, and like Jake said, I was okay with it. I'd had the conversation with myself. I was okay with it. I reached my goal, and I didn't jeopardise maybe even ripping the LCL, you know?
And what's good about that, though, man, if you go back to relating it to mental health, you got to the start line and you crossed that start line, bro.
Yeah.
So you've done it. So regardless if it was 100, I mean, obviously if you're doing an ultra marathon, you want to get up to the 100K mark. But, you know, let's just say you only done half of that. You still got up to the, you still
gave it a crack.
Yeah, you gave it a fucking crack, bro.
And I think we all had so much shit going on leading into that.
So fucked.
injuries, business, relations, just fucking everything, man. Everything you think could have been thrown at you, we all copped it on the way to this ultra. On top of fucking everyone wasn't really prepared enough training wise, especially not this idiot. Yeah. And like I said to all the guys, I said, at the end of the day, boys, if we run fucking 20Ks, 40Ks, 100Ks, 200Ks, it doesn't fucking matter. Let's just show up and go hard.
Yeah.
Like, because, I mean, we all had injuries. And Liam, who's not here today, had plantar fasciitis, which, if anyone knows that's listening, is extremely fucking painful running. And he did 100Ks. Yeah. And like I said to Liam, I said, you know, man, if you just run 40, it's still fucking incredible, man. So, yeah, like what you said there.
Fucking oath.
And just relating one last thing back to the run, like I'm a massive believer that mental health always starts with your physical health. So it definitely doesn't have to be an ultramarathon. Probably wouldn't advise it, to be honest. But it could be as simple as, like, if anyone's struggling, just get out of bed, get out of that environment that, you know, that you're in. Change the environment like we were talking about before. Go for a walk, get in the sun, just do something, get out. And then, you know, it'll just flow onto your mental health. You'll feel better, you'll start looking better. And it just starts this compound effect, this snowball. And next thing, everything just starts getting better. And like, hey?
Sorry, with that though, like, without carrying this on too much.
That's all right, man.
Like, what changes have you made, Steve?
Oh man, so for me, like being in the FIFO game for 13 odd years now, I spent probably 12 of those years partying. So it was like fly to work, straighten my head out, come home, party, run amok, do all the dumb shit that we used to do, and then sort of finish up just before I went back to work, and then straighten my head out again and do it all again. So it's just, I was just caught in this vicious cycle, and it was the same thing, man. I had to break free from that environment. Had to
well done, bro.
Stop a few friendships. Jakey helped me heaps, and it wasn't a straightforward process, man. I'd be good for a few months, then I'd be back to the partying, then I'd be good for a bit longer, then back and forth, but I was going in that direction, and I knew that that's where I wanted to be.
What kept you going, bro, if you don't mind asking? What was, like, obviously your why, obviously, you know, like how we spoke about it, like mine was character building, like what's for you, because it's so hard.
You know what it was, Jakey, and it's one of your number one quotes, man. I've got it up on my vision board, bro, and it's great change happens when you get sick and tired of your own bullshit. And I just got to the point that I was just over it. I was over feeling like shit. I was over battering myself physically and mentally, and I was just like, fucking hell, like there's got to be something more to life, because like this used to be fun, it used to be a good time, but it's not anymore. This is just something I do now. It's just a habit, and it's like I just had to break free from it, and like you know, I only started my running journey probably less than a year ago. I started running, and that for me, what that looked like was a 3 kilometre run was sort of my limit. And like, and that's what I'm saying. Just start somewhere for anyone out there that wants to do something. Like, just start, just take action, get to that start line, and the rest will unfold.
Good on you, bro.
From there.
Like,
fuck you,
man. Cheers.
For sure, bro. And I think you know, everyone that's listening to this can relate to that. I certainly can relate to that, man. And just starting, and again, just going back, like you're gonna fuck up. Like you said, you're not gonna. I mean, you may be, you may be one of those guys that might just go cold turkey and fucking just nail it, you know. And I'm sure you do hear stories, but I mean, like 99% of people are gonna fucking.
And it's the same thing, man.
Journey.
You're gonna fail, but is a failure gonna define you, or are you gonna use it as fuel to fucking keep going?
There's only failure if you let it beat you, eh? If you don't let failure beat you, get back up and go on. It's not failure, it's just learning. 100%. You just can't let it defeat you, and that's hard. That is hard. You can talk about it, easier said than done. It is hard.
I guess I mean, you keep talking about Jake. I mean, Jake, like, I mean, people that have got this far into the podcast and listened to some of this and the success of some of the stories that we've, you know, getting through hard times and addictions, maybe, or whatever you want to call it. Well, particularly you, Steve, like, you know, saying that you're on this vicious cycle and things like that, and you got through it. So, like, what do you got to share, Jake? I mean, to those that are listening here, like.
So, like, to get through addictions? Or?
Yeah. Well, I think where's a good start, man? Like, I mean, and we'll also just maybe talk about what you offer, bro, because I mean, it's Steve's talked about you a bit,
so,
man.
like, besides the gym business, is something that I'm super passionate about. Was, as the boys know, coming on your own journey. I used to be ex-gang member, involved drugs, alcohol, all the stuff. And when I got into that, always stayed true to my values. And this will get quick, but when I realised, I was like, you never know about that. I went to my first Tony Robbins event. And I was like, get fucked. I've just been telling myself this bullshit fucking story the whole fucking life, and it's fucking not even fucking real, and I've just broke through it and I can live. What the fuck? I want to do this for everyone.
Yeah.
What the fuck? And then I just was, like I was driven from something, then that comes back down to that character. I'm fucking going forward and nothing's going to stop me at all. But to
well done on that though, bro. I think it's awesome.
To cut the long story short, you know what I mean? That drove me to knowing that it's possible. And everyone in here has had their own fucking inspiring and beautiful journey, no different to me, you know what I mean? But knowing it was possible, I want to give the gift to others. So that's why I become a coach, because I didn't know that it was possible. But yeah, obviously the side thing that I do, and I'm trying to get into it, and I want to get all the boys involved into it as well, is one-on-one coaching and group coaching as well. Especially because it's hard, as you all said before, when we think, I'm going to go see a psychologist in counselling. It's probably getting better now. Like, it's not as demonized, but it's like, I'm going to go see the shrink. I'm fucking got problems. I'm going to go sit there on a fucking chair. Coaching and different, men's talk and different circles has a more authentic approach. These are guys just like fucking me that are here to help me. But yeah, that's something that I do on the side. You know what I mean? Like I do one-on-one coaching. I do group coaching. I'm in the business grinder with my other business at the moment. So I do that when I have my spare time, just because I know, the power of going to the start line, if we want to call that, because it's been a theme today, and having the courage to go inwards. Doesn't matter how strong that you appear to be. It doesn't, however you choose to be, whether it's through martial arts or whatever. True strength and true courage is having the ability to step up to the start line and realise that you've got to go inwards to move forward.
Yeah. So just talking about Luke, who does the sound healing and things like that, he said to me, fuck, I want to, because it is sound healing events. He gets, where you have cacao and stuff like that. I don't know if you've ever done it before, but...
I'm aware of it all.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. He gets about 60-odd people to some of his events. And when I went to them, I said to him, man, when I was looking around the room, there's only 3 or 4 fucking blokes here. It's all females, because they're the ones that do the work quite easily. And then, so just hearing about what you want to do, man, I'm just wondering, I'm just going to put it out there, because I'd love to be a part of it as well, but I feel a massive calling of starting a men's group, called in the starting line. Where it's a free thing, man. Yeah. Where we've got people like Luke, like you, like us, that we open up a hall and we're fucking, and we introduce it, anyone can come along, man, and it's the fucking starting line. And we mix it with people.
That's good.
Yeah,
like that,
I'd love to do something like that, bro. And the more people I speak to, the more of these events, like your brother's event, man, and everyone's talking the same sort of stuff, man.
Yeah.
And Anyway, I'm going to put it out there.
Yeah, absolutely, bro.
Yeah. I think if we talk about fear, or we're talking about business and we say just do it, I feel like we should just fucking do it. But it is the fear of, fuck, is anyone going to show up? Is anyone going to show up to the starting line?
I think with fear and stuff like that, it's simple things like, when we've done Instagram stories, you only get better at fear. Confidence is built from I do. And that just means, a lot of boys have said, so those thoughts that come up, when we're in the ultramarathon, in life, mental health struggles and stuff like that, you've got to learn how to deal with those thoughts, whether that's standing guard of the gateway of your mind, having good environment, people that encourage you. But yeah, you got to step up to the start line and then be willing to go through it. And it's only from exposure. You don't get strong from not lifting any weights. You can't be like, I'm ready to lift weights, just look at it and hope you're going to get fucking stronger. You can't hope to get confident if you're not willing to do the reps, if you're not willing to expose yourself to that fear and have people or support and a safe space around you to help you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can't do it. If you don't know, guess what? If I'm struggling, I'm going to find someone who is also struggling and overcome it. It's finding success leaves clues.
Yeah, it's and on that, man, with the social media stories, not long ago, I spoke to these guys. So I set a goal. I'm going to put stories up. It was a big step.
You're actually really good at them, by the way. So are you down, Steve? Is it?
And that comes with the validation. It's hard to take that, but doing them was so uncomfortable. I don't even like it now, but I had those thoughts, right? So, is anyone going to listen? Is anyone going to like it? What's everyone going to say about me? You know, you have those thoughts. And I sat back and I said, right, who gives a fuck? I don't care if I can help one person out of the whole social media, because, and it does come to that validation and that self-belief. I have done a lot of hard work. I've made a lot of sacrifices the past 2 years to get to where I am now that a lot of people my age won't do. So I fucking deserve it, and I reckon I can help someone. And I said, fuck it. For 1 month, every single day I'm going to put something up, whether it's good, bad, whatever's going on with me that day is going up. And I had bad days and I had good days like everyone, and everything went up. And the messages I got back. And I wasn't doing it for that. I wasn't doing it for the followers. I actually lost followers purely because I'm fucking brutal. And they just couldn't handle it, so they fucking left. It's like, good on ya, see you later. Like, you can't handle the truth, brother. It's all good. But the prize I was getting, man, I was having people in primary school that I had not spoken to that were in suicidal states saying, seeing you doing what you're doing is inspiring me. And that kind of stuff, man, you don't do it for the validation. You do it because it's making change, man. And
I relate to it with this podcast. Like I had this vision.
Awesome,
I had this vision of having this podcast through an ayahuasca ceremony. They're saying like, fucking, with all the shit you've done and you been through in your life, I'm now going to make you a fucking warrior at the forefront of men's mental health. You're going to go. I went and brought all this podcast. Well, the majority of it straight after a fucking ayahuasca session.
Done well. It looks sick.
Had no idea what I'm doing.
So good.
But the first fear, like I mean, I couldn't read or write. Like I'd struggle with talking and the confidence of talking and do I sound right? Like all these things come up. Like,
you sound good, by the way.
Are you?
You do well,
sound really
I
good.
could play footsies with you out there too. Right?
Already playing with Steve.
I don't know who that was. Nah, you do, and you had all the same feelings as well.
Oh man, definitely. Like I mean, like who are you, Dave, to fucking go and like with all the shit you've done in your life and the failures and that, who are you to jump on and fucking talk about mental health and things like that? But one foot in front of the other, man. And then and having the honour of having boys like you on here talking about this, man. And again, like the feedback you get.
Yeah.
Like we've had people as well, man, message, and even people that I've podcast with, their friends that have, you know, all these stories you hear back from these stories. And I've only just started. I mean, my reach is far from what your boys maybe on social and things, but even already I'm seeing the impact it's making, man.
Beautiful, bro.
And
well
that's
done.
what keeps me going.
And you know, touching on that with the social media, like, you know, followers, influencers, all that just gets absolutely ramped up now. But you know what? Having followers and having a massive following on social media is so powerful when used constructively. Like, for instance, Jake, you know, you've got a massive following and you're having such an impact with your men's coaching where, you know, a lot of influencers got a huge following and it's a very negative approach. And it's the same with you growing this podcast, you know, getting more followers on your pages is going to help you grow.
Yeah, it's crucial, man. It is. It's crucial, and I encourage everyone to do it. I know nothing about. I didn't have social media before I started this. I started this at the start of this year, so and I still know fuck all about social media. I get other people to sort of do it for me, but yeah, it does, man. It goes a long way, and all the support. I mean, even for you boys to give up your time to come in here and sit in on it, man. And
anytime, brother.
You can do, man. No, I appreciate the opportunity.
It's been a beautiful, safe space to have a good chat and appreciate it.
Well, this door's always open. All this gear was brought not just for me, man. It's brought for so if anything comes up after this, man, the door's always here. You want to talk about other topics, you want to bring other people on that can share their story, as you know, things will come up over, you know, after doing this podcast. So the door's always open, man. And I fucking appreciate you boys being here, being open, the encouragement and the gifts that people are going to get from listening to this, man. So thanks, boys.
Well done.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate it.
Cheers.